Hey everybody, welcome to another con support video. This one's on order of operations with negative numbers. So I wanted to kind of go through and explain the process for these problems to see if I can help you out. So in this case, it says evaluate the following expression, 10 plus the quantity of 54 divided by negative 6. Now you can write this in lots of ways. If you wanted to, you could write it. Let me see if I can get the little writing utensils up. One second, guys. Let me see if I can make that shrink away. There we go. All right, so if I wanted to, I could write this out as 10 divided, plus, let me erase that. All right, there we go. Get used to Khan's new tools. All right, 10 plus the quantity of 54 divided by negative 6. These two statements are exactly the same. All right, so if you write it out this way, it might be more familiar to you than seeing it with the fraction. But in either case, what you're looking for here, and the way I like to do this, I don't just do pure PEMDAS. I like to circle the terms or work within each term. So I look for addition, subtraction first as separators, and then within each of those terms, I use PEMDAS. So when I see that plus sign, I'm thinking that's a separator. So you got this first value of 10, and you got the second value of 54 divided by negative 6, right? And then these two values are being combined or added together. So when I'm doing that, the 10 just stays 10. That's easy enough. The plus is just the plus, no problem. Over here, you got 54 divided by negative 6. Now remember, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 54 divided by negative 6 is going to be negative 9. So what you really have here is 10 plus negative 9. Now 10 plus negative 9, who's going to win? The positive by how much? 1. All right, so you could think of that in lots of ways. I like to do a little scoreboard in my head, and I say, all right, if it's 10 plus negative 9, that's 10 on the positive side, that's 9 on the negative side. Which is going to win? The positive side. By how much? Take away the losing side. And that's how I get my answer of positive 1. But I don't always write it out. But that's what I'm thinking in my head, right? Combine my positives, combine my negatives, and compare. So in this case, the answer is going to be positive 1. All right. Now, if it helped you to write it out this way, that's great. If you didn't want to write it out that way, you could have just worked with the fraction and realized that the fraction is division, right? So you're going to do the division before you do the addition. 54 divided by negative 6, negative 9, and then 10 plus negative 9, positive 1. Okay. Let's go to the next problem and see where we end up after that one. Okay, this one's a little bit fun to look at. Looks a bit intimidating, right? Let's go through this one step at a time. So taking a look at this problem here, we can think of this problem like so. So this is going to be negative 7 times 7 plus 9 times the quantity of negative 1 over negative 1. And this is a little funky because when you're looking at this, right, you could be like confused at whether to do the multiplication first or do this resolve this fraction first. Let me write it out that way that I just wrote the other one out and see if it helps out. So you got negative 7 times 7, and then plus 9, and then times negative 1 divided by negative 1. So if you write it out this way, you can see what your terms would be. Remember, terms are separated by the addition or subtraction outside of the parentheses. So this would be one term, right? One value. And then this whole thing is another value, right? The separator would be your addition or subtraction. So in this case, we have two values, right? Negative 7 times 7, and then the other value, which is 9 times negative 1 divided by negative 1. Now, when we're doing negative 7 times 7, we're going to do negative 7 times 7. Positive times negative is a negative, and 7 times 7 is 49, so this becomes negative 49. We're going to add that to whatever this thing is worth. Now, when you're multiplying and dividing, those things happen at the same time from left to right. So you're going to do 9 times negative 1, which is negative 9, and then negative 9 divided by negative 1. Now, negative 9 divided by negative 1 is a positive 9, because as you know, when you have a negative divided by negative, it ends up being positive. So this result is going to be negative 49 plus positive 9. Now, if you were to just do negative 1 over negative 1, that would be 1, right? And 9 times 1 is 9, so it effectively works out to be the same value. But if you wanted to just stick to the principles of PEMDAS, you could just work multiplication division from left to right, and you get the same answer, okay? So here we have negative 49 plus 9. What is the result then? Well, negative 49 compared to positive 9, who's going to win? The negative by how much? 40. So this is going to be an answer that is negative 40, and that's what you're going to put on your answer. Now, like I said, for me, when I look at this, I like to do a little scoreboard. So I like to think of that as negative 49, or 49 on the negative side, 9 on the positive side. Who's going to win? The negative side. By how much? Taking away the losing side. And you get that same answer of negative 40, right? I don't always write this out, but that's what I'm thinking in my head when I'm combining positives and negatives, okay? Let's take a look at this one. So this one says 1, take away the quantity of negative 4 to the second power. This one doesn't require any kind of reworking in the way it's written. So let's just write it out. You got 1, take away the quantity of negative 4 to the second power. Okay? And like we talked about, the subtraction outside of the parentheses would be a separator. So it's really this value of 1, take away this value over here of negative 4 to the second power. And remember, the exponent only applies to what it's touching, but in this case, it's touching the parentheses. So it's raising that whole parentheses to the second power. So this is the same as 1, take away the quantity of negative 4 times itself, which is the same as 1, take away positive 16, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and 4 times 4 is 16. So this is 1, take away positive 16, which is the same as 1 plus the opposite of positive 16, which is negative 16, if you wanted to change your subtraction to addition. Remember to change subtraction to addition, you just change what's being subtracted to its opposite, right? So taking away positive 16, the same as adding a negative 16. Or you can just think 1 take away 16, right? Who's going to win? The takeaway by how much? 15. Ultimately, in this situation, you're going to get an answer of negative 15. And like I said, the way I like to think about it, once I have my addition here, so say on the positive side, you got 1. On the negative side, you got 16. Who's going to win? The negative. By how much? Take away the losing side. And that's why I get negative 15 as the answer, okay? So that's it. There's my answer, negative 15. Put it in, and we're good to go. The next one. This one says negative 8 times the quantity of negative 10 plus negative 7. Remember to work inside the parentheses first. So this is all one term. There's no other term. So you just do negative 10 plus negative 7. Those are both on the negative side. So when you add them together, they get more negative. This becomes negative 17. So effectively, this is just going to be negative 8 times negative 17. That's basically what this becomes. And so a negative times a negative is a positive. So we know the answer is a positive. And then 8 times 17, you can do that out if you want. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13. So you're looking at 136 on the positive side. It's going to be 136. For this one, you've got negative 5 plus the quantity of 7 times 9. You could think of this if you wanted it as a two-term situation, because it is. But because of the parentheses, it's not really that hard to see that it's just going to be the parentheses first and then combine. But this is the first term. We got negative 5. The second term is going to be the quantity of 7 times 9. What is 7 times 9? We do in the parentheses first. You're going to get 7 times 9, which is 63. So it's really just going to be negative 5 plus 63. Who's going to win? The positive. By how much? And then what does 63 take away 5? It's going to be 58. So this is going to be positive 58. Remember, what I like to think about is a little scoreboard there. So I think 5 on the negative side, 63 on the positive side. Who's going to win? Positive. By how much? Take away the losing side. And it's positive 58. Either way, however you think about it, you're going to get positive 58 when you combine those two values. So positive 58. Over here, we got a long kind of string of values here. Let's talk it out. So you got negative 8, take away 10, times negative 1, plus 7 times negative 1. Now, remember, you multiply before you add or subtract. So I'm going to write this one out for you guys. This is negative 8, take away 10, times the quantity of negative 1, plus 7 times the quantity of negative 1. And when I write out, I want to circle my terms. Remember, the terms are separated by addition or subtraction outside of parentheses. So this is going to be one term, negative 8. And then you've got another term here, which is going to be the value of 10 times negative 1, and you're subtracting that. And then you're going to have another term here, which is the value of 7 times negative 1, and you are adding that. Okay, so this is one way to approach the problem, that the subtraction and addition are your separators, and you have these three values that are being combined. Negative 8, take away the quantity of 10 times negative 1, plus the quantity of 7 times negative 1. Well, negative 8 is just negative 8. That's easy enough. 10 times negative 1, positive times negative is negative. It's going to be negative 10. So you're going to take away a negative 10. And then 7 times negative 1, positive times negative is a negative. So this is going to be plus negative 7. Okay. Now, in this situation, you've got subtraction. I like to rewrite my subtraction as addition. So this becomes negative 8 plus the opposite of negative 10, positive 10, plus negative 7. And then once I have all the values that are being added together, I put them on a scoreboard in my mind or on paper. So here's my scoreboard. On the negative side, I've got 8 and 7. On the positive side, I've got 10. What's the total negative? 15. What's the total positive? 10. Who's going to win? Negative. By how much? Take away the losing side. And you can see that the result of all of this is going to be negative 5. So the answer is negative 5. And then we can go to the next problem. I write that in there. There you go. All right. For this one, you've got the quantity of 4 take away the quantity of 3 minus 2 all to the second power. To me, this is a two-term expression. You got this first term, and then you got this second term, and you're going to find the value of those two terms and then combine them with that subtraction operation between them. So this is going to be 4 take away whatever this is worth. Inside this term, you're going to do the parentheses first, then you're going to do the exponent. So 3 take away 2 is 1, and 1 to the second power is going to be 1 times itself, which is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. This is going to be the same as 4 take away 1, which is 3. Okay, so the answer here would be 3. And that's how you do these problems. Just go one step at a time. Use your circling term method if you like, and then PEMDAS within each of the terms. All right, I hope that helps.